Very good. Very good.
All right, thank you, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday, October 14th, 2021 Planning Board meeting here in the Selectmen's Hearing Room. Our Select Board, excuse me. We have to be politically correct. Okay. So at 6:30, we have a continued public hearing for citizen petition zoning amendment marijuana establishments. Mr. Saunders, is that you?
Yes.
Would you care to come forward?
Sure.
Okay, so here we are. And if you would like to tell us where we're going and how you're going to get there?
Absolutely. Everything's going to be postponed until the April meeting. We are going to amend the language on the general petition, Article 10, so that it is acceptable to the members of the Select Board as well as Town Council regarding the particular language with the legislature. We're going to work with the Jim Toomey so that we have an amendment that is going to glide through. There won't be any discussion or debate.
Is this for this town meeting or the next?
We're working on voting in April.
Okay, now I understand.
So Article 10 will be referred for further study or consideration. And without Article 10 passing, there's no reason to have Article 11 addressed. That also is a situation where we anticipate working with you folks over the next several months and figuring out the specifics as to where cannabis operations facilities might be located.
Well, I think that that's more than acceptable.
Thank you.
I do. I think that that's important. The planning board is prepared to work with you to come up with what we consider to be a viable bylaw that will float, that will happen.
Yes.
Okay? So we do have to make a report to town meeting. Okay? So I'll read it, and we'll take a vote on it and go from there, but it really has no, you're going to IP this article.
Yeah, we're going to postpone, yes.
Indefinitely postponed, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The planning board hereby reports that in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 40A, a public hearing was held on this article on September 9, 2021, and continued until September 6th. It's wrong. We'll change that. To October, yes.
Just clarification, are you reading this vote tonight?
Yes.
As your vote?
Yes.
Then I believe you should close the public hearing
Okay.
first.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
All right, all in favor?
Need a second?
Second.
Second.
Jeez. All in favor?
Aye.
Now may I go forward?
Thank you.
So much. Okay. On October 14th, 2021, the board voted unanimously to support, who wrote this?
Yeah, all right, so just skip the first paragraph.
Thank you, thank you. Okay,
Testy.
I'll go change it.
okay. The changes to the zoning bylaw will allow for marijuana establishments to be located in Business District B and some sub-districts of the Village Center and Neighborhood District VCN. Marijuana establishments should be able to be located where registered marijuana dispensaries are located with the restrictions currently in the zoning bylaw. Definitions relating to marijuana would all be located in the definitions section of the zoning bylaw. The temporary moratoria and prohibition of marijuana establishments would be removed from the zoning bylaw, allowing for marijuana establishments. The planning board does not support this article as written. The board feels that more zoning requirements are necessary for marijuana establishments and would like to see more public input into the zoning that has been allowed by this citizen's petition. And this article requires a 2/3 vote. All right, all those in favor of supporting, not supporting this article?
Seconded.
All right.
Second.
Second? Okay, we need two-thirds. You want to take a roll call? Two-thirds?
No, it's just.
Oh, that's fine. Then we're all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're done.
All right.
We'll
So before you go, I haven't had any response to the email about the November 3rd meeting. I mean, you say you can't make it. Can your other people make it, or is there?
I will ask them again.
Can you suggest another date?
Well, I will ask them again. I will be returning by 6 PM or so on the 3rd, and between then and late December, I'm available just about all the time.
All right, so can you try to give me a couple of times when it would be
Okay.
good? We want to start getting this rolling as soon as possible
Mhm.
so that we can have a chance to get the best outcome so that we can, for the April town.
Absolutely.
Because our schedule, I think I told you in an email, we have to submit an article, doesn't have to be the final article, in December, and then we have public hearings. We're going to have a zoning workshop in January, and we have public hearings in February for the April
Okay.
town meeting. So
Mhm.
it's a lot of work, and
Yep.
we want to get it all done quickly.
Okay.
So if you can get back to me on.
I will either refer you to the attorneys who are working with us, and if they're available, then they would be able to do it on the 3rd, just to speed up the process. Otherwise, well, I mean, they're going to need to be available. Again, I'm a sociologist, I'm not an attorney, I'm not specified in terms of the,
If
yes.
they want something to happen.
Mhm.
I mean, otherwise, I mean, we want to try to make this as collaborative.
Exactly. And I will put out word to them again, asking them.
Okay.
For November
That would be
3rd.
wonderful. I mean, we would like to do it later in the day
Mhm.
so that, right now I have 2 planning board members attending that meeting
Okay.
so that they can complete their workdays.
Mm-hmm.
So just please get back to me. when you
I will
know,
do
and
that.
we'll start to get the ball rolling.
Okay,
Great.
sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
All right.
thank you, folks.
All right, Karen, it's, that didn't take very long.
I'll go, I mean, I had to change this before the night was over.
Okay.
So that we get all the signatures.
Here, I can,
The first hearing is September 9th, right?
That's another question.
you might want to,
October,
at town meeting, read this vote again before the article, just because this whole part wasn't read. Just in case people don't see it, just reread it again
Okay,
with all the correct dates.
okay.
Thank you.
All right, so that's that. We didn't know how long that was going to take, but we had to allow for,
In case people showed up,
In case people showed up.
and I can see that we have standing room only here.
So why don't we go to lot shape bylaw right now?
Do we need Cindy, or does she want to stay, or what do you want to do?
Well, Lorraine was summoning me.
And you go be summoned.
I thought I should respond no matter what, since marijuana was over. I'm happy to stay if you need me. It's entirely up to you. If you don't, I'm happy to
Want
go
you back
home.
in?
It's on you.
I'm not sure, do we need her for Holly Crest?
No, I briefly ran it over with her this afternoon.
Okay.
And we're on the right track.
Okay.
I haven't shown you this lot shape bylaw, but it's very, very simple. We had consultants.
Okay.
I mean, if you want, you can take a copy with you.
All right.
But you can read it and get back to me, but I did what Bob Mitchell and Judy Barrett recommended.
Okay.
So,
I've worked with Judy.
right, so you can go back to Lauren.
Thank you.
Thank you, you're excused.
Thanks.
My pleasure. Good luck.
See you when-
That was short and sweet.
It's the way it should be.
I told
We
this
will see you in a couple of weeks.
I will be back, if not sooner.
Well, there you go.
Have a good night, all of you.
You
Thank
too.
Good night.
All right.
We have been working with consultant Judy Barrett, and she has hired as her sub-consultant Bob Mitchell, 2 of the biggest gurus in zoning in Massachusetts. in an attempt to try to find a solution to a lot shape bylaw. I sent you a spreadsheet that had all these different towns and what they do. A lot of them do a circle, a lot of them do this really complicated formula. But what we figured out is that if we just make it really simple and say no lot created after April 11th, 2022, theoretically that's the town meeting date, may be less than 50 feet wide at any point except as provided in 610-2A of the zoning bylaw. That takes care of the most egregious cases that we have had. And it seems to make sense to everybody. And keeping it really simple.
Simple. It gets rid of rat tails,
It gets rid of rat tails. Rat tails have to be at least 50 feet wide now.
and it would not have allowed that 10-foot rat tail
It wouldn't have allowed the sewer strip down on...
Onto Jericho.
on Jericho. It wouldn't have allowed the 2-foot strip that is on Man Hill. It wouldn't have allowed several of the man-locked Creelman lots.
Right.
It wouldn't have allowed Chief Justice
Cushing.
Cushing right over there.
with all those rat
It
tails.
wouldn't allow the rat tails on 443 or 461 Chief Justice Cushing Highway. So it takes care of all the most egregious ones. I mean, it doesn't eliminate total funky shaped lots. Like, for instance, 533 Country Way, the one you have essentially before you right now. They have a 50-foot strip from the front down to the back to where the septic system is going to be. But most people can generally tell where they own a 50-foot strip. I mean, so after a lot of wrangling back and forth with the consultants, this is what we came up with, and they like it. I mean, and it seems to suit our needs and keep it really simple. And we already allow 50-foot frontage lots, so it doesn't impact that. It has no change to those.
Well, that's only zoning board approval.
Right.
Yeah, that's
the zoning-
section
right,
six.
The zoning board has to, right, but still, it's, you would allow the 50-foot would double the lot area, but it doesn't change that. You know, we're still saying 50-foot minimum at any point.
And how do you, I'm just thinking about the application of this to lots that aren't sort of rectangular or whatever. How do you define the width? What if it's like a 5-sided lot or something like that? How do you measure that? What's the idea there? I mean, what if you had a lot that went like this and then had 20-foot and went like this, or you measuring across? Where are you measuring? On the perimeter of the lot?
No, at any point where between two lot lines, and it can't be less than 50-foot wide.
Well, that definition doesn't quite work, right? If you do it around a corner, you can be at a place where it'd definitely be less than 50 feet. So that's what I'm trying to just understand, is when you say the width, what are we defining as the measurement of that width? Is it literally the width of
The width between the
Right. Right, you can't go around the corner with another feet, you just can't do it.
Yeah, but I'm saying, from there to there, that could be less than 50 feet.
But it's still 50 feet from here to here.
So I'm asking, the question is, how are we defining how we're measuring it? Because that's going to be the next question.
Point to point.
Right, to Steve's point, like what if you had a irregular
Yeah,
trapezoid-shaped
Yeah, sure.
lot?
Yeah, a lot like this,
I
right?
think but lot width is already a measure, I think there's standardization for some of these measurements, correct, that the zoning officer is in charge of? But I'm looking at the definition section right now.
Well, required lot width is, R1 is 170, 175, R2 is 125 and the other two are 100
Yeah, but that's
feet.
measured at the widest point or whatever.
That's measured at the setback.
Okay.
Right. And that wouldn't affect the rat tail at all, right? So
That would affect the rat.
I'm just trying to make sure when we do it, we have a clear definition of how we're measuring things, so we don't end up with other weird things.
Right.
Circles in the middle.
We know
I
that,
mean, I think, in general, it sounds like it could solve our problem. I just want to make sure we've sort of gone through it enough, maybe looked at enough examples to say, how do we deal with, something that's not,
well, what we deal with,
perfectly, rectangular or something.
it doesn't really get rid of pork chop lots if they have 50 feet.
Right, exactly, no, it doesn't.
But it gives you 50 feet of property. It
Right.
doesn't give you 4 feet.
Right. And that's the difference.
And that's the difference, and that's why it takes care of all the most egregious examples we've seen. And that's what we're trying to do, take care of the most egregious ones.
Right.
And I know that I can think of one developer in particular that will hate this and just go nuts.
I'm just saying, when we write this, we just should have a clear sort of definition of how we're going to measure it, so that we don't create, other unintended consequences here.
I mean, it tells you lot width shall be measured between side lot lines and parallel to the frontage. I mean, that's for the lot area and width requirements. And so we're just saying that it can't be less than 50 feet at any point.
All right, can we look at how that sort of
Yeah,
looks?
it says where is the narrowest.
Right.
Said lot is the narrowest.
So what we're saying, so that definition, if it's from setback to setback, right? That definition could work in certain places and not in others, right? So where are we measuring, really?
That piece that you drew up would not fly unless it was 50 feet wide.
Again, what's the definition of how we're measuring it,
To
right?
Steve's point, 'cause I'm thinking about this too. What if, we just have to, I agree, we just have to dial in the width aspects. Because what if you have a big pizza-shaped lot?
Yeah.
And then so is it the average? There actually would have to be an equation for how the zoning
Yeah, 'cause
officer
you could
is
definitely
measuring.
get less than 50 feet in a
Depending
bunch
on
of
which
those places.
point
Yeah.
you pick, right? Or
Exactly.
you could get way more potentially
Exactly.
and bias it that way, so.
Yeah.
I
I'm not worried about as much the way more as, because somebody with a triangular lot, does
Right.
that mean that, that they can't have a triangular lot? Is that what it means?
don't know, we'll have to
Well, that's
define
why
it.
we're talking about this.
Yeah, well,
That's
that's
why
why I
we're
bring it
talking
up.
about
Yeah,
this.
that's why I bring it up.
Yeah, okay.
So
I don't think you can have a triangular lot.
I don't think you can
I
either.
don't think you can anymore.
have, because you can't, you don't have it unless it's 50 feet, between the two lines, you can't have a triangular lot.
Well, can't you have 50 feet on the road and then,
No.
No, because you
No,
don't
if you
have
read
to
this, it tells
50
you.
feet at any point except as provided.
so we don't have any triangular lots in this town?
I don't,
And I'm not just picking on triangles,
Sure you are.
I'm just
All
trying
right.
to make sure we're thinking through what the measurement requirement's gonna be, because somebody's gonna come in and we're gonna say, okay, show us how you measured it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I think for the vast majority of cases, this
This
is fine. It's just those irregularities that it's gonna be,
Boy, and they will come in with them.
right, so,
I guarantee the first one in will be one of those.
Right, of course.
yeah. The other
In
thing.
general, the concept, I say, is fine, Just want to make sure we get the details sorted out. so
Well,
we
the
don't-
devil is in the details, isn't it?
Always is.
Always.
Well, I will send it off time to town council and see what she says.
Did your consultants have a way of sort of measuring this?
This is the exact language that's used in a lot of other towns.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And no, they didn't have any issue with the language.
But we have some very creative people that live in this town.
I mean,
Build.
Or not.
So then the other thing I was thinking about this week is, with these rat tails that exist, or old funky lots that already have these issues, we're going to be creating a good amount of non-conforming
yeah,
lots. So we just should make sure ZBA is on board with the fact that this is now something that will go to them when redevelopment is proposed on these, because that's going to open up a lot of new people potentially coming their way. Well, maybe not a lot,
I
but
don't think it's going to create, I mean, I think that on some of the lots, they may end up reformatting them.
that's true as well. Yeah.
Because,
Well, if they're already built on, there's, the question is somebody coming
Right.
by to restructure the whole lot or something? Maybe there'd be a few, right? But if somebody's already built a single-family house on a lot that has a rat tail, they're probably not,
no, it's probably
Gonna
not
change
gonna-
anything, right?
It's probably not going to change them, but
Right.
on, like, say, the one out there, if they don't sell the land, they may end up coming back and reformatting it.
Right.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it'll be a lot of instances, but it's something.
Okay, well, you know what? That's why we're having this discussion. And points are well taken. So we will take all of it. All right.
And Karen, what is the, except as provided in 610A2A?
That's right down below. You're allowed to have 60 feet on a cul-de-sac.
Oh, okay. So that's really addressing the kind of the cul-de-sac thing.
Right, that's kind of addressing.
Well, that's addressing the frontage,
Right, that's addressing, right. And so.
not necessarily the,
Right, but this is, I mean, this is what they wanted to say in there, and so,
yeah.
Bob, do you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I was just thinking, I was just trying to think of like, does this work or does it not? I think what they're trying to, like, what you're trying to get at, and this might make it sound more complex, but I think it fills the gaps of that, what you were asking about with the pizza-shaped lot. And that's actually a perfect example for it, is that we want a 50-foot width between two directional changes. So anytime you have a directional change in a lot, so let's say have a rat tail that, kind of meanders in the back somewhere, between the two directional changes of the rat tail, right? So we have directional changes here and here, that's 90 degrees. It has to be 50 feet right there, right? But then, let's say the rat tail then kind of moves up like that. Between these two directional changes, we still have to maintain that 50-foot separation. And that would take care of the pizza-shaped lot, because at those two directional changes, you'd have the, like two opposing,
Well, the directional changes would then be at the corners of so that would be a directional change, right? Which would work.
yeah, and then when you have let's say you have a
That
hexagon
would
or
work.
pentagon shaped lot, right?
That would work.
Between any two directional changes, I want to call it frontage, but I know that's not the right term. Between these two directional changes in a pentagon shaped lot, you'll have the 50 feet. And then between this directional change and this directional change, if you draw a perpendicular line, from it, they'll have 50 feet.
I didn't see what you
Oh,
were
sorry. So in a pentagon shaped lot, you'll have 50 feet
Mm-hmm.
between it. But then, what that.
You have a change here, so you would have to say, does that equal 50 feet, right?
Exactly.
Except that that may not be as big an issue, right? Because that's not really sort of a rat tail issue there.
No, it's not, but when you then get to, like a lot that's like, okay, it's a nice square, all right, and then when you start putting on a rat tail, so you have you have 50 feet, more than 50 feet between these two directional changes. Let's say this is a directional change, this is a directional change. But then up here, if it goes down to, this is only 25 feet, then this does not satisfy the zoning requirement. So they'd either have to shorten the lot to a place where it's only 50 feet between the directional changes, or they'd have to expand out this way. So I think the 50-foot width is a good way to do it, but I think to get rid of some of the messing around that people will have, like with the lot sizes, you'd say it has to be at, whenever there's a directional change, the
You would
width
run
has to
into-
maintain 50 feet.
Right, but you'd run into this issue right here, right? Because these are directional changes, and if that's 20 feet, right? Even though you have your 50 feet here, you're gonna run into that, right? And I don't think we're concerned about that, right? We're concerned about having these small little rat tail kind of things, so. I don't know the exact.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, I was.
No, I get
no,
it,
that's a
I
good
get
point.
it,
I
but,
wasn't
yeah,
sure
I
that
get it.
I was making it.
I'm just trying to,
In Lot Krillman, we had multiple directional changes
Yeah.
so that they could get the lot area, and most of them were less than
Mhm.
50 feet wide.
right,
And,
which is okay as long as we don't create a lot that has these little
That's what we
slivers all
did.
of them, right?
But we didn't like me on Lot Krillman.
No, we
This
didn't.
actually doesn't. so
Well, I'm
with-
saying in general, to me, a lot does not have to be square or
No, it doesn't
rectangular,
have to
right?
be
So,
square or rectangle, but.
in fact, it probably can't be because other property lines might not let it be, right? So,
Exactly.
So this actually isn't the width of the lot. If you have, let's say you only have, like you were saying, a 20-foot change between directional changes right
Yeah.
there. The width of the lot is still down here. And what that's saying is like, okay, you can't make a tiny little, you can't make a, no, I guess that wouldn't, if you had a triangle. So that's why I was like,
No,
I
it's,
get it, yeah.
it's a conundrum. But then again, when, Man Hill, we have a 2-foot strip.
Right, and that would prohibit that.
That's right.
Yeah, we want it, I mean, obviously, we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater here,
No.
but
no.
No, we don't. Okay.
just maybe ask your consultants if there's
Yeah, I will.
something we
And
need
I'll
to do.
I'll ask the consultants and I'll ask Cindy again.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll ask Cindy for the first time,
Mhm.
but I'll say, this wording is essentially taken from Rockland.
Mhm.
I mean, and they find that it works there. Maybe
Mhm.
we have more irregular shaped lots in the towns, but, I will follow up with the consultant.
Yeah, I think in general, I would agree with it, right, so.
And if you all can, if you have comments, send them off. All right, try to give her some language that we could work with, okay? Excellent, thank you so much. All right, my goodness, it's 7 o'clock. We have the people here for 15. Paul,
Yeah,
So
Call the
we're
question.
ahead of schedule.
So-
this is great. I haven't, it hasn't happened in so long.
No.
Yeah.
Just contain yourself.
Um,
Okay, welcome.
Thank you. I have a little handout just to help you guys visualize what we're asking for. Good to see you all. Karen, I should be one extra copy, and
Well, she could have mine.
Yeah, mine.
I think Karen's aware of.
We all know everything about this,
You do?
so there you do.
Like you
So
would
do I need to
believe.
say anything?
No, like you would.
Sure you do.
Depends on what answer you're looking for.
Right.
It's so nice to be here and laugh. But anyway, so Ted Coyle and Margaret Pierce are sitting behind me. Many of you probably know them. They own 42 Hollycrest Road, which the handout you have in front of you, there's two documents. One is a land court plan, and one is one is a printout from Mass GIS that I kind of colored up with my chicken scratch.
Okay.
So they own 42 Hollycrest Road, which is outlined in orange, and the Hollycrest was a subdivision that is shown in pink, and it was approved in 1957, and it's also laid out on that land court plan there. So we're lot 4 shown on the land court plan. So Ted and Margaret are building a house. They have already received a building permit from Bob, and all of the necessary sign-offs. And in connection with their loan, they discovered an affidavit in the title. I happen to notice Rebecca's not here. Is she still on the board?
Yeah,
I thought of it.
absent.
Yeah, I thought of it because I know she's a title lawyer. So, anyway, various owners signed the document. They impose a no-build restriction until the planning board releases the lot. So, we think that it's probably it's a land use restriction that has expired under a particular statute. There's a 30-year limitation on restrictions. But we think that it makes all good sense and is prudent to request a release from the planning board. And so the blue part that you see on the plan is town of Scituate owned property. And there are 8 total lots in the subdivision. Homes have been constructed on 3 of the 8 lots. In addition, 3 of the 8 lots were conveyed to the town for conservation purposes. Our clients have owned the property, the families owned the property for decades, and they were really instrumental in soliciting the purchase of the property and facilitating that for the town. After the town purchased the lots, it extended the road all the way to the end and installed kind of like a little parking lot. I haven't been out there. I would love to get out there and do a little hiking, but as a trailhead. And so basically our client has spoken with the fire chief. He has no problems with the planned access, which is going to have a little turnaround on the property. He also doesn't have any issues or has indicated he is perfectly happy with the existing placement of the hydrant and the size of the water pipe that is being proposed. But as far as kind of like conventional subdivision thought process, that's the utility that we're focusing on. We would think that, you might want some kind of affirmation that we're going to do it, and we have no problems facilitating that. And so basically, we have a closing for a construction loan that is a little more than 2 weeks away, and we were wondering if we could start a dialogue, and hopefully, if you're fine issuing a release, that'd be great. And if not, use the next couple of weeks to dig into anything we need to dig into.
I understand this. Karen and I have talked about it. Patty's talked about it. First and foremost, I find it almost reprehensible that a building permit was given for a lot that did not have water on it. And it was given back in June, was it, Karen? June. And so here we are now, 2 weeks before your closing. And the other thing too is, this, and I just have to get this out. And please, don't take any of this personally, okay? Please don't, all right? This whole idea of in perpetuity sort of depends upon who interprets it. Some people think that in perpetuity lasts forever, and then depending upon who's interpreting, it could only be 30 years. So we have a conundrum here. There needs to be a 6-inch.
Well, my conversation with the DPW is a little different than your conversation with the DPW.
I didn't have a conversation
All
with
right,
DPW.
I had a conversation with the DPW today. This is all part of the pictures I sent you. The hydrant is down. This is the last hydrant on the road.
Which is where? Which lot is it?
It's, I'm going to use
It's
their
number
color
tw- it's number
picture.
22.
It's probably about right here.
So it's right at the
22.
curve.
So
Right here.
It's a little, it's probably over 500 feet away.
right
I
at the
talked to the DPW today. They would like the water line extended down, because I was told you were willing to extend the water. The hydrant after the driveway on the property, extend the water line down. And if it's I don't know if it's a 6-inch out there or an 8-inch out there right now, but no reducers. Back in the 56 regs, there was a 6-inch required. So
Okay.
put in a hydrant, extend the water line down to the lot, put it after the driveway, and have a hydrant.
If that's what the town wants, then
That's-
that's fine. I was just referencing a conversation that occurred with the fire chief, and I understand DPW has their regulations and
But my
needs.
understanding is
Yeah.
that you guys have talked with Mark Cloud.
Yes.
And so this is.
Who's Mark Cloud?
Mark Cloud is with the water department.
Okay.
And so DPW affirmed to me today that's what Mark Cloud was told and Mark Cloud told you. My conversation with Elliot is that he seems to be okay with the turnaround in the driveway as long as we can get radii so that the fire truck can use the driveway as the turnaround, so that they can back out or somehow turn around, because you can't actually turn around in the town-owned parking lot because there's a gate.
Right, and that gate is only wide enough for a regular car to go through.
So let me get this straight. There is a gate, okay, I haven't been out at the property, but there's a gate with a parking lot behind it that the town installed.
Yes.
And if there is an emergency situation out on that trail, you're telling me that the fire trucks can't adequately turn around as it is for their own parking lot?
Not to the extent of where their property is, so they're quite a way up. If you,
Well, I know they are,
Yeah.
but it's just, I find it ironic that the town can do this.
I think it would have to be a multi-point turn. I think it would have to be, here's the actual construction document from the roadway. I think that a fire truck could pull here, if the gate was open, could get back around here. Or
Okay.
pull in here, get back there. So I think the fire truck could do that. That's all Al Elliott wants for the driveway here, but so that there'll be appropriate radii, so that.
There
the
could be a
fire truck
turnaround.
Can be
Yeah,
a turnaround.
absolutely, of
And
course.
so that's
I don't have a problem. I guess I was just kind of venting, just like you were venting a little, Ann. I find it a little bit of a double standard, but anyway, that's just my opinion, and it has nothing to do with my reason why I'm here, I suppose.
that's one of the steepest accesses to the conservation land. I mean, it goes straight down. So
Yeah.
they would probably come from the other end if they were going to access that property. They'd come off of, I would assume, off of Clap Road.
Okay. Well, I mean, look, everything that we've discussed is perfectly fine. We don't see any issues with it. Am I right about that? So, that's fine. I understand.
I would recommend to the board that you get something in writing about the water line being extended down there.
So in other words, get something in writing from DPW.
No, from you guys.
Oh, okay.
To extend the water line down there, and, per DPW requirements,
Yeah.
and you'll proper radii on the driveway.
Okay.
Is this looped?
It can't be.
No, it's not.
It can't be looped.
It can't be looped.
Unless it goes to the Rod and Gun Club, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
And, all right, the road was first started in 1953. It was approved in 1957. Then in 1969, they came back to get Lot 8 released. Now, all that was before the Wetlands Protection Act was passed. This is a sensitive environmental area out there. There's a lot of wetlands. I think there would be more damage doing anything beyond what's already out there. I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, this was, Wetlands Protection Act didn't come into early 70s, and there's wetland trusts.
I don't know what you mean. Are you saying there would be more damage to build a house there than not? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying to make any more improvements to the road that are already out there.
Okay.
The road should not be improved
No.
beyond what it is right now.
It's one more lot, and I think with the water line going up there, you have protection for water and fire protection, and you'll have fire department access. I mean, it's kind of what happened in the past is what happened in the past. And, I think for one more lot,
Now, will they have to file a stormwater permit?
no, because we also would like some type of acknowledgement that disturbance on the lot at this time is not going to be more than 14,500 feet as indicated on the building permit plan. If in the future it becomes more than 14,000 and greater than 15,000, then a stormwater permit would be needed.
So you would like an acknowledgement that we're going to do what our building permit plan says we're going to do?
Yes.
Okay, but isn't that what the building permit plan is? And wouldn't there then just be,
Theoretically.
Right.
wouldn't,
Theoretically.
The building permit plan shows a driveway that goes straight. There's no radii or anything.
okay, so it's so we would need to quantify the area of disturbance and ensure that it's no greater than 14,000 square feet.
They wrote 14,500 on the building permit.
Okay, and the trigger under your regulation is what?
15,000.
So, okay.
So theoretically, no, a stormwater permit is not required for development of this house because the disturbance is kept below the standard.
So, other than,
And it's not within any wetland buffer zones.
so they don't have to deal with conservation on this either?
No.
All right.
We wouldn't have gotten a building permit if we did.
Okay. All right, what is next steps here, Karen?
So I would recommend you have them come back on the meeting on the 28th. They give me this letter. I'll work with Jeff and Bill to come up with some type of restriction.
Just Jeff.
A lot release that
Just
will,
Jeff.
Just
that will be
Jeff.
satisfactory to the bank.
Okay,
Because the bank's title examiner is the one who copies.
right.
Yeah.
So, does that work for everybody?
I think that's 100% perfect, acceptable plan, and we'll work to do that.
Well, all right.
It's a little piece of paradise out there.
Say again?
It's a
Piece of
little
paradise?
I mean,
Yeah.
can I tell you, I lived here for over 60 years and thought it was a private driveway.
Yeah.
Thought it was somebody's house. Till they did conservation.
Well, it is a private way.
It is
It-
a
But I
private
thought,
way.
but I thought it
It's
was
nice,
somebody's house.
it's nice when we can avoid having to do, the full-blown subdivision and all that stuff is.
I thought it was like the
It's a
upper North
good-
house,
yeah.
which is this huge sign, and they lived there, and the neighbor next door, so somebody named their house.
Yeah.
Well, it's just, we're not adversarial, and we don't want to be. So, what's past is past, and we have to go forward. So you have your marching orders.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
On the agenda on the 28th, I can't tell you, we may try to squeeze it in early, we may try to, or it may have to be after, it may have to be late.
Okay, I mean, it sounds like it's an administrative function at that point, if you and I are in.
Right,
Yeah,
but it'll be an official vote of the planning board.
yeah, okay.
Okay,
Thanks again.
you're welcome.
Good to see everybody.
It's good to be seen.
It's also good to be distant from you all as well.
I'm not sure.
I gotta say, these are some great wall shapes.
Yeah, really.
It looks like a wiring diagram.
What, did I?
I just did that. I'm talking about wall shapes, because some of the other lots on here are
Yeah.
I think that-
pretty wild.
All right.
So we can use this as an example.
Here, look,
Well, what
there's
is it
a,
with it?
there's a triangular lot.
There's rat tails right
There's
there.
rat tails right there.
One,
Are you
two,
guys
three.
Is part of
all set here?
Number, what is that,
Look at all the
112?
rat tails right there.
Look at this little rat tail
Thank you.
here.
Oh, my
Oh,
God.
yeah.
Rat tails.
Thank you, thank you.
All these triangles?
Thank you.
Yeah, and then the rectangles.
Okay, next.
A lot of rat tails right there.
So,
And we have a public hearing at 7:30 and nobody's here.
so we can
It's
do,
not 7:30.
I know.
we can, we're able to reprint that.
Patty,
for the town meeting, so if you-
look at this. Look at the shape of this one.
Town meeting,
See? How do you measure the average with that?
You really can't.
we can do
There's
all
a triangle, then a little piece, and then another.
Look at all this.
What do you call that shape? I don't
Types
know.
of
A lot
lines.
into a rat tail,
And
into a
there's your pie.
triangle.
Oh, you saw that one too?
Yeah. Okay, all right.
minutes and a
Sure.
Oh, hold on. Okay, so you will do the minutes. I move to approve the meeting minutes for September 16, 2021.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Come on, guys.
Aye.
Just say
Minutes.
aye.
What are we voting on?
Minutes.
You're on the minutes for September 16, 2021.
And there was a second, and then all in favor? Thank you. All right.
Okay, I move to approve the requisition of $1,650 to Merrill Corporation for the peer review services at Curtis Estates, for $900 to Merrill Corporation for peer review services at the residence at Driftway Place / Drew Company, for $1,950 to Merrill Corporation for peer review services for 16 Man Hill Road, for $975 to Merrill Corporation for peer review services at the residences at Driftway Place / Drew Company, for $126 to Gatehouse Media for the legal ad for 137 Gilson Road, for $139.44 to Gatehouse Media for the legal ad for 533 Country Way, for $132.40 to Cheshire Consulting for peer review services at 485 Country Way / residential compound, for $1,430 to Cheshire Consulting for peer review of 7 New Driftway, for $390 to Chester Consulting for peer review services at 533 Country Way, for $730 to Chester Consulting for peer review services at 48-52 New Driftway / Gas Backwards, and for $3,280.04 to Horsley Witten for the peer review services at Seaside at Scituate.
Is there a second?
Expensive week.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now, does anybody have a pen?
Unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Wash your hands after.
Liaison reports. Does anybody have any reports?
No, but I have
Commission.
watched, I have watched the advisory, I think conservation, CPC, everything for Border Street.
Right. And I was at the 27th meeting for CPC. We basically, it was a, how did it go? It was a 7-2 vote to endorse the $2,015,000 to purchase Border Street. There was quite a bit of discussion, and then everything else, $75,000 for a ball field. They haven't really said where that's going to go, and everything else was pretty much a done deal. Then they had sort of their public meeting the next Monday, and that had to do with the ball field, and they did come in, because initially they wanted $600,000 to just do ball field.
Where's this ball field?
Well, that's a good question.
You build it, they will come, I don't know.
Yeah, Boston. So, and then there was Toll Brothers, and then there was this and that and the other thing. So finally, they withdrew their initial application, and they came back on the 4th of October with the idea that there would be a plan in place. They have yet to determine where it's going to be, whether it will be behind gates, the old gates, or whether it will be on Central Field. We're not quite sure. And also, too, I mentioned the fact that regardless, they do have to come to the planning board to talk about.
So they want us to vote for money that they don't know where they're gonna put something.
Well, actually, the 75,000 is to go for a plan, as opposed to 600,000 that we had no clue where it was going. And then at the selectmen's meeting, the developer for Border Street offered, if he gets what he wants and builds these 6 houses, he offered Scituate Little League $50,000 as a, they tried to call it mitigation, but that's not mitigation by any stretch. So that was more than interesting. So, that's all I have. There are a number of different things that are coming in for the April town meeting. I don't have the list with me, but I will let you know. Including a piece of property that is, you're all familiar with where the dinosaur playground is, up on Country Way. Well, this is considered to be 0 Hollitt Street, and it's behind houses on Hollitt Street, behind the Hatherley Playground, or whatever you want to call it. And then in between, it's about 2 acres, and then there's the railroad tracks. And this individual wants to sell it to the town for $40,000, which is the assessed value. But since he thinks there were these dollar signs, he might want more money, bottom line is, it's landlocked. So, there you have it. Okay, we have 10 minutes. Does anybody have anything they would like to discuss?
Yes, I do.
Go for it.
All right, town meeting is October 26th. Does the board want to post a meeting for beforehand, or the town meeting starts at 7? I mean,
Is there anything we need to discuss or vote on?
I don't think there's anything we need to discuss or vote on, because you're going to sign the report to town meeting tonight. You're voting not to approve it. We heard that they're going to indefinitely postpone it, so I really don't see a need to meet. But if you want to, we'll post it.
Why don't you just post it just in case something untold comes up and we all need to have a discussion.
All right, so we'll
So
post.
what time would it be then?
We'll post for 6:30 on the 26th. All right, so, talking a little bit about schedule, December, I believe we're gonna cancel the December 23rd meeting.
Oh,
Sorry, I mean, the day after is a holiday, why should we work late Thursday night? Do you want to try to have another meeting in December, or do you just want to see where we are?
Why don't we see where we are just in case?
Okay.
Life is subject to change without notice.
Countryway residential compound development.
Yes.
I've received plans from the developer, and it's my opinion that it's not what you approved. It's my opinion, based on a table that they've provided me. All the houses are anywhere from 8 to 10% larger. The buildings are, some of the driveways are shorter, some of the driveways are longer, but the buildings are more in line with each other. I would think that you guys might want them to come in and explain the differences to you.
I think that sounds like a plan.
Was there an updated stormwater plan as well?
No, I mean, we can make a condition about if the lot development plans vary, then it's up to the planning board to determine if it's significant or not. Right now, they're working along. They fully understand that they can't release water into the retention areas until it's grassed. They have grass in them, but they are trying to get binder down this fall. And they've already applied for building permits, and I told Mr. Bogle under no uncertain, and I told them under no uncertain circumstances, I am not signing off on these building permits because that's not what your permit says. Your permit says that they have to give an interim as-built, and they have to verify that all the retention areas are 3 feet above groundwater. And so they say they understand all this, but then the next step will be the building permits. And so I'm just thinking we might want them to come in. I would suggest November 4th.
Fine, sure.
Okay? I'll ask them to come in, and you guys can determine whether you think the changes are significant, non-significant.
So
I will-
do you have something that will show us what the changes are?
I can send plans, and I can send their table that they provided to me to show you. And I'll send you the original plans as well.
And there are significant changes.
The driveways are practically right up to the lot line, touching each other, and don't think that's the concept that you really approve.
No, not at all.
So, that's that. Seaside continues to go along, Drew continues to go along, the gas station continues to go along, 18 Ford continues to go along. I am having a pre-con meeting on Wednesday for 6 McDonald, even though he knows he's not authorized to start yet. The person's supposedly moving out at the end of the month. He knows he has to get me the revised building permit plans as you agreed to last time prior to actually filing them. So he knows he's a little bit a ways away, but we're still gonna go ahead and have the pre-con. So I think for next time, at 6:30, we're going to immediately continue 533 Country Way. I'm still working with them to determine what the date's going to be. It's either going to be November 18th or December 9th. But that's going to be immediate continuance. So at 6:30, we also scheduled the Scenic Road hearing. So it's a small scenic road.
Is this the 28th?
Yeah, the 28th. And so I was thinking, right now, we have scheduled a public hearing for 7 New Driftway at 6:45. They know that if the taxes aren't paid by then, this is getting immediately continued. I'm thinking of sticking Hollycrest between 6:30 and 6:45, because I think the scenic road will be 5 to 10 minutes.
This is the 28th, right?
Right,
Okay.
and put Hollycrest right up front
Yes.
there. And then if we start a little bit late for 7 New Driftway, if the taxes are paid, then we
How much
go.
time are we allocating for that? Is that an hour?
I'm going to allow for at least an hour. I have a draft report that I have not sent you because I have to read it myself and get back to the consultant engineer. But we still have plenty of time. They still have not submitted the traffic report or the sewer and water study that were required. And I have reminded them of that. Other than that, I think all your projects are going.
Okay. All right. We are now at 7:28, but I think,
Wait, is there a planning board meeting on the 18th of November?
Yes, 18th of November at the EOC.
I won't be here for the 18th. I don't know if that creates an issue, but
Okay. Well, I guess if I'm not sure it really creates an issue unless you might have to do mowing.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, so I can't tell you at this point if it creates an issue.
Okay.
All right. All right, we have a continued public hearing on stormwater permit for 16 Man Hill.
Good evening, Madam Chairman and members of the board. We just had some minor revisions that we had to do from the last review. Peter Bromary is not here tonight, and it's probably because the comments were very minor in nature. However, I did provide the information with me now, that's this copy of the plan with a minor revision. And I also have a revised permit application, and I've got a cover letter that clarifies that the volume of yardage was in cubic yards, not in cubic feet. If you would like, I can.
Karen?
Sharon.
I mean, I'll take it, but I still have some issues of what's on the plan. And I still have an issue of what's on the plan and what's in the application. The numbers were not cross-referenced between the application and the plan for the amount of impervious area.
That's correct, and I did correct that on that submittal. The 4,818 square feet of impervious area.
And it's corrected on the plan now?
Yeah, and the percentage of it. That is true.
I just want to let the board know that we make deadlines a week before a hearing so that we can have adequate time to prepare a decision. I got 2 submittals in after that time period. And I think that they are really close, but I'm really not 100% prepared to do a decision tonight. I mean, I tried to quickly throw something together, but, you know.
I haven't looked at it yet because it came in today.
Right, exactly, because it came
I
in
did.
today.
The same day.
Right,
Right.
because it's impossible.
It is. And this is unfortunate that this has happened. And I feel badly for the people that want to put in a foundation and do whatever, but that is not the responsibility of the planning board. We need to have a stormwater permit that meets the necessary criteria, that all of the Ts are crossed and the Is dotted. And when we had a submittal on the 12th and then another submittal today, it just doesn't do it.
Well, the submittals were submitted.
But they were submitted too late.
They were submitted right after we received the comment letter. And we got them in as quick as we could. They were very minor in nature. And there's a lot of, after hours work and effort, a real lot of effort that went into these plans to move this process along. My clients are renting a house. They have been renting a house for quite some time now. There's been a lot of issues with this application. I think a lot of it stemmed around permeable pavement, that this board just did not look favorable upon it, which I think is an excellent LED impact, low impact design feature, but it was obvious to me that it was not being favorably looked upon, such that it would have been conditioned that would have cost the applicant about $600 a month. So I had to change that mid-shift in almost the 11th hour. And I worked very intently to come up with a viable alternative, and I did, and it was favorably looked upon. There were some minor tweaks as what typically occurs during the review process, and I turned it around, and it's viable, it works.
Okay, the issue is, more than anything, as I had just stated, about having the stormwater permit be as tight as it possibly can. Because this is the first of two more, and one leads into another and into another. So we want to be really, really sure that what is on this property stays on this property. Karen?
And so, I mean, I think that Greg is right. He has addressed, I mean, I'll look at these plans. I did not look at the plans today. I did not have Peter look at the plans. I will look at them, but I think that if they've addressed all the issues, the only issue that is going to remain is the test pit. The test pit still has not been done in the bioretention area. That's going to be a condition, and I'm going to tell you the condition is going to say that it has to be done within 15 days of the approval of the stormwater permit. So I don't know why you couldn't actually start to work on getting that done.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm sure Paul can take care of that. Did you want it witnessed by Peter or somebody?
Yes, we would like it witnessed by the planning board's consulting engineer.
Yeah. So, yeah,
I mean,
I mean,
so-
I can't do it, but Mr. Maravito can do that, and he's kind of at the mercy of Peter's schedule too.
Right, but I think that pending final review of this last stuff, I think we'd be ready in 2 weeks.
Yes.
When I can circulate a decision, look at these plans, and go from there. I think that I would like an explanation, and I think the board would too. Can you review the erosion control plan one more time?
Can I review it?
Yes, can you review the erosion control plan?
For what? I don't understand it.
I think that there's multiple lines of erosion control, and I just want to make sure that is it all needed? That's my
Well,
question.
if it doesn't, I encompassed all the disturbed area as requested. And then I also had one set of erosion control, just upgrading it in between the outlet of the bioretention area, just as a safeguard. If it's not needed, it can be eliminated in the field.
This is on the plans that you haven't seen,
Okay.
or that I forwarded today, but we have this hanging out down here, we have this line right here, we have this down here, we have this here, and then we have all this on the outside, and we have this here. Is all of this really necessary, or is some of this extraneous?
This row of, a line of sedimentation control barrier, it just ensures that all runoff makes it into the basin. This down gradient one, and in here, is definitely necessary.
Right.
Just so that it
No,
doesn't.
I get that.
It may or may not be, but it's given double protection to the abutters out back because this has been deemed to be a sensitive area. If it's not needed, we can eliminate it in the field.
Well, I don't make that call if it's needed. You guys make
All
that
right,
call
well,
if it's
it
needed.
can't hurt.
I mean, so,
You know-
I'm just saying, is some of this extraneous? There is a stone wall here too, but I'm just
Yeah.
asking.
No, it's not extraneous.
Okay, then
It might be a little bit of belts and suspenders in this area, but that's to protect these abutters down here because they have expressed a lot of concern. So I want to just safeguard for their protection. That's all.
All right, then I think that answers all the questions I had.
Okay.
There will be a condition in here also for a landscape plan to be submitted much later in the process for a buffer, the buffer in the back.
Okay. All right. Does the board have anything they want to say, Steve?
I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
So the note about getting the additional testing is one you're saying we're going to condition, and we're going to get the testing before anything else happens.
Right,
That's what
right.
Peter's saying, okay.
That's what that, and so that's gonna be a condition.
Okay. And then I saw the temporary easement document,
Yes.
and I guess I'm a little confused about what happens when this thing expires. So it seemed to me that the temporary easement is to allow the necessary grading to achieve and maintain compliance with the stormwater permit.
Correct.
Okay? So not just achieve, but maintain, right? And it feels like what's going to happen is this thing will expire after the issuance of a certificate of compliance. And then what happens over there and how does that affect the stormwater design?
When it expires,
Yeah.
it doesn't affect the stormwater design. I mean, it's, that easement.
So whatever you do over there will stay there. Nobody's gonna mess with it then.
No, he's not gonna mess with it. Now, the abutter,
That's who I'm talking about, the abutter.
okay, what he's gonna do is he's gonna fill up to that level of fill that's on his property. That way, he doesn't have to impact or fill over his property line, which is common to the abutter, the homeowner at 16 Man Hill.
So what I'm asking is whatever you show you're doing there will remain there. Nobody's gonna mess with it.
No, nobody's gonna mess.
Even
with
after
it.
the
When you-
easement expires.
When you say nobody's gonna mess with it,
It's not that property owner's property anymore.
right.
So
He's not gonna touch it.
how do we know that?
Why would he? I mean, there's no.
It's his piece of property. That's what I'm saying, is why is this a temporary easement then? Why is this a permanent easement?
He needs it to maintain the grades at the property line, and in order to do that, he's gotta fill over off onto the lot here, known as 18 Man Hill. Now, when the owner of 18 Man Hill goes to build out his lot, he just has to fill up against the fill that's already there. Now, the fill that's already there is on his property. So
Right, it's his fill.
he's not impacting 16 Man Hill
Right.
Road because he doesn't have to grade over that property line.
Well, he can do whatever he wants, it's his fill. At that point, it's his fill.
It's his fill.
Right. So he can do
Only
whatever
the
he
fill
wants.
that's on his lot.
Yeah.
Right. But he's not, he wouldn't remove it.
How do you know?
Because it would be.
He could regrade it, he could do anything he wants to it, right? Because it's his property. So I don't get this temporary easement thing. That's what I'm trying to understand
Well,
here.
I think during the hearing process, they explained to you that the design of that lot is predicated on having the fill there.
The design of which lot?
The number 18 Man Hill is predicated on having that fill there, so that they're only trying to do the fill once, grading over onto that lot.
Right. So why does there have to be a temporary easement?
Because
Why
it's
isn't
not on
permanent?
their property. It's-
I'm not, That's neither here nor there. It's an easement, so.
Right, it's an easement.
So why does it have to be temporary? Why doesn't, once it's done, why isn't it left alone? I guess is my question.
Just for full ownership of the people at 18 Manhill.
No, I get that, but they've modified 18 Manhill in order to facilitate the building on 16.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna say, at some date certain, all bets are off, and whoever owns 18 can do whatever they want with 18. Right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I don't understand why we would only do it temporarily, why it wouldn't be a permanent easement.
Once lot 18 is built out.
Well, lot 18's not built out. That's not what we're talking about.
Well, that's why it's temporary. It's temporary because lot 18 is not built out. Lot 18
No, it's,
is a different owner than at 16.
listen, I get that, okay. That's exactly my point, right? Is lot 16 wants to grade lot 18 in a particular location, which is fine, they've got an easement to do that. But that easement goes away as soon as we issue a certificate. And so lot 18 now can do whatever they want to that piece.
To the fill.
Yes.
Yeah,
They could take it out and put
they
it
can
in.
take it all out.
So it has to be a
They can
permanent
regrade
easement.
it, they could do anything they want, right?
It has to be a permanent easement.
So that's why I'm asking, why is it a temporary easement? Why isn't it a permanent easement?
Because when it's all built out, this fill that's here, it's gonna be
Yeah, but that's on,
buried under other fill for this lot.
I do-
These are all.
buried
filled
under
into-
other fill?
The whole site is a fill site. It always has been. When we did all 3 lots, all this fill was
Okay.
shown. It was
So-
agreed. He's gonna need to fill to put his septic system in. His
So
septic
what
system's
you're
right
telling
under
me,
the-
well, let me just paraphrase what you just said. So he's gonna fill over what they've graded right there.
Right. But
So
not
that's
across-
not the
across
finished
lot
grade.
line. Huh?
That's not the finished grade then.
No.
What is the finished grade?
It will be blended into this fill. We showed that finished grade on the first few plans that we had back in, I guess, 2019 now, when we attempted to permit all 3 lots all together.
So
What's your concern about that, about him, or about the people at 18 Manhill?
We've
adjusting
approved a stormwater permit based on this grading, right?
Yeah.
And based on the flows going where they're gonna go. And then at some date certain, one direction could be completely buried. It's going to be, you're telling me, right?
Yeah.
So does that change the
It won't-
flows?
It won't impact this runoff.
Why not?
Because it's downhill.
No, it's not. He's gonna fill it.
No, we've got a swale here. All this runoff is being contained on this lot right here. Any runoff that's on this fill is on this lot. And when this lot gets built out, it's gonna have to control its runoff.
So the swell is uses control of it.
So his control point at this point is what's in the temporary easement. He understands that he now can't change any of that. Correct?
He now can't change anything? No, he can only fill up against it.
He can't change the water drainage.
No, and it wouldn't. When stormwater falls, if this is the property line, it falls evenly on either one lot or the other. If this is flat, you still have the same runoff falling on either side of the
I
lot
get
line.
that.
If it's sloped up, you still have that same amount of runoff. And in the pre and post analysis, it has to be taken accounted for, and it will be. But it's not necessary to encumber this lot permanently with an easement. That's why it's temporary.
All right, I think we're gonna end up right back here again when he comes back in, with all of this having to be redone again.
Yep.
All right, anything else from anybody?
I still think we ought to edit. Have you had a look at the temporary easement?
Yeah, I have. I've had town council look at it.
Okay.
And she didn't have a problem with it.
All right. As long as, I think we're gonna have a mess here.
I think it could be.
Mr. Pritchard, if you were to buy this lot,
I would never buy that lot. Not based on what you just did to it, so
if you were to buy this lot,
I'm not gonna buy that lot.
this easement allows you to fill right up against this property line without impacting this lot. And then the easement goes
No, the
away.
easement's
and
not
you-
to me on that lot. It's to lot 16. And it goes away. The easement goes away. The easement disappears. It's gone.
Right.
Right? There's no such thing as an easement anymore.
But if you owned this lot, you would want that easement to go away so that your lot is not encumbered by it. And what you,
Necessarily.
but with it, when you go to build out your lot, you're not impacting lot 16 because you don't have to fill over the lot line. You can fill right up to it, right?
I have to
abutting against that
maintain the
fill.
drainage that exists
Hmm.
after that easement, after that's all put in. I have to maintain that drainage.
You have to maintain your drainage, but.
That is my drainage there.
But lot, no,
Yes, it is.
it's your drainage.
Yes.
Whether you got fill on your lot or whether you got on your lot, it's still your drainage. It's on
That's what
your
I'm saying.
side of the
That's
lot
his
line.
pre-existing condition. That's what he's gonna have to design to.
The pre-existing condition would be the same.
No, it wouldn't. It's after you build that out, it'll be a new condition.
Well, no, but what he's saying though is that the stormwater on 16 is going to be contained within the lot line of 16.
No.
Borrowing, like cutting a path through somebody's backyard, and
once-
borrowing it for.
Once they build that out, the stormwater flow off of 16 defines what happens on 18.
No, there's no flow going from 16 onto 18. There's a swale here that
Right.
contains.
Right, that's what I'm
all
saying,
the
is
runoff-
all of that has to be maintained
all the
by
runoff-
18.
It is, and it is.
No, it's not.
All the runoff on
18
16
hasn't built
is
anything.
not going over the lot line. There's no runoff on 16 going over the lot line. It's all being contained and brought around to the stormwater control point. Anything on the 18 side of the lot line remains on 18. And that's gonna be part of their
That's what
pre-development
I'm saying, that's
analysis.
all the pre-development analysis, and that has to be maintained.
It will be.
Ben, do you have something you want to say?
Well, hate to be this guy, but now that the temporary easement, grading easement area is under the microscope, it got me thinking. I would really like to see on the plan a limit of clearing in the area outside of where the grading's gonna take place on lot 18, so that we don't have any overly enthusiastic site workers clearing trees and land past where the grading easement ends.
They're not allowed to do any work beyond the easement.
Yeah, so I just think that the limit of clearing should be shown on a plan so that can be interpreted, as such, or at least it needs to be flagged and delineated in the field.
We can do that. It could be added.
Just since now we're doing site work on another lot, I think it would be conservative to have that shown on a plan.
Are you clear cutting this entire lot, 16?
16? Pretty much.
No,
Except
no,
for
you're
this.
not. No. The owner's right here.
Well, we're gonna try
Well,
to.
that's all filled.
Well, this whole back area.
It's all site.
This is-
Except for this part right here, where we're keeping the buffer strip. We have to fill to meet the performance standards of the bylaw.
But not the entire site.
This part of the site is not gonna be touched.
Right.
But where the house and the septic system and the stormwater controls are, we have to fill. We have to maintain a 2-foot groundwater separation. We have to have 100 foot of freeboard in the stormwater control thing in a 100-year storm for a residential house. And this is why we have to do what we have to do. I would not do this if I didn't have to.
All right, we're running around in circles. So, we need to continue this to the
28th.
28th.
All right, so here's the conundrum,
Yep,
okay? You have a public hearing at 6:45.
okay,
I cannot guarantee that that public hearing is going to take place. I think it would be a most conservative route for you to continue the public hearing to say 7 o'clock with the understanding that I will be letting them know if it's really going to happen at 7 o'clock
Fine.
or if it's really going to be later than 7 o'clock. I mean, we have advertised public hearing, but there's some extenuating circumstances.
as
We would-
always.
It would be on no later, I mean, we have the 6:45, but we're gonna give it an hour, so 7:45 is the time that theoretically you could be on, but I don't wanna have them sitting around waiting till 7:45 if we could've started 7 because the other hearing can't
Right.
occur.
Okay, so we'll be flexible and
Well, we have to publish it, though, right?
it's already published.
The 6:45 is published, but we
Yeah.
don't have to publish this one, we just have to continue it to a time and date certain. But you can't hear it before, but
We
you
can
can
hear
hear
it
it
after.
after.
So we'll put it down for 7. And if these characters come forward at 6:45, then so be it. If they don't, well, there you go.
I mean, I'll know a day in advance
Right.
and be able to let them know if it's gonna happen at, more like 7 or 7:45.
Can't you just notice it for the same time, and then you just put it on the agenda in whatever order you want? Can you just do that?
Well,
I've seen it done.
the other one's already advertised in the paper.
Yeah,
I mean, so, I
whatever.
mean, why don't we just say 7?
Right.
And then, and I'll get back and I'll let you know.
I move to accept the applicant's request to
Are we
continue.
moving this to another hearing?
Yes, we
We
are.
are. We have to.
Can I just clarify, that would be the 7th hearing.
You know what?
since May.
We have to do this right. It's in your
I
best,
understand that.
it's in your best interest, and it's in the subsequent owners of 18 and 20.
Can you just tell me why we're moving it? What specific things need to be clarified?
I haven't had a chance to write a draft decision. I've been working on a draft decision, but I got new plans today, and I just got a new version right now.
Been doing this since May,
Well,
I'm sorry, that's not my problem.
actually since 2019.
all right. I move to accept the applicant's request to continue the public hearing for the stormwater permit for 16 Man Hill Road until October 28th, 2021 at 7 p.m., and to continue the time for action for filing with the town clerk until November 12, 2021. Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Does anybody have anything else they would wish to discuss at this moment in time? And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Everybody does it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.